are 30% of the people at least opening your emails. If they're not opening your emails, if it's below 30%, your subject line sucks. You got to fix it, or it's going into spam. Largely, this depends on the subject line. And again, are you saying great opportunity, perfect job for you? Or are you getting a little bit creative with that? You want to get creative. So that's kind of like the first outreach metric that you want to look at.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenly, and welcome back to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make that change. Today we've got a great Tactical Tuesday episode ahead of us, but before we get into that, I just want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show here. Some days we have interviews with industry thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, while other days we cover things like trending topics. Stop by every Tuesday, like today, for a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. Some days we open up for Q&A, and occasionally you get a mic drop episode from Matt where he shares something that he's been thinking about within the recruitment space and wants you to know. Now, as a reminder, if you like the content that we're sharing here on the show, make sure that you subscribe for more. All right, last week in episode 162, we covered which recruitment metrics and KPIs you should and should not care about. So what started as a fun conversation ended with us thinking, I love knowing which things we should be focusing on, but now that I know which ones do matter, what can I do to actually improve those? And so with that, we kind of ended with a promise to come back with a part 2 on just that. So how can us recruiters improve the actual metrics and KPIs that matter? So as no surprise, we have Vivien, your favorite Tactical Tuesday co-host, here back for more for part 2. Vivien, hey.
Hello. I'm back.
Oh yeah. All right. So yeah, this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who listened to last episode, but yeah, I'm thinking that what we do is we hone in on 3 main KPIs that we said they really are worth focusing on. So as a refresher, these 3 KPIs that we're gonna focus on today. Number 1 is time to source. Number 2 is time to submission, and then the third one is your submission to hire conversion rate. So let's start at the top. When we're talking about okay, yes, I need to improve my time to source. I know it's going to make a huge difference in my output. What are some different things that we can do as we're sourcing and engaging candidates, or biz dev for that matter? But what are some practical things that we can do to improve those metrics?
Yeah. And not tooting Loxo's horn because we're Loxo, but Loxo's really great at this. We have a database that is directly integrated into your workflow. So as you are clicking through yes, maybe, it automatically can enroll them into an outreach campaign. And that way, that time between your sourcing and engaging with them is drastically shortened because you don't have to scroll through all the different profiles, put in a bunch of Boolean searches and filters and sift through the profiles and add them. And once you've added them, to then select all of them, craft your message, then send it, because then you're sending it in batches. And so depending on how you source, if you're sourcing all day to gather 100, 200, 300, 500 profiles to then send the same bulk message and you only send it once, it's not really all that efficient. And so when you have AI that kind of auto enrolls people into that sequence, as you're clicking yes, no, maybe, it automatically starts adding them into the sequence. Bonus points is that you're not sending one email at the same time to hundreds of people. You're sending one, it almost looks like you're sending it one by hand. And the reason why this matters is email providers of your recipients, they take a look at this. If you are sending the same message to a lot of their customers around the same time, they're like, hold on there a second, this looks spammy, this could be something, what's going on here? They start treating this slightly differently, and the likelihood of it ending up in spam jumps up a little bit. But if you are sourcing throughout the day, and it's over the span of 30 minutes, you find 50 candidates, over those 30 minutes, you're sending a message to 50 people. And that helps with your deliverability, that helps protect your domain, and it's just overall really good. And then to kind of backtrack, take a little step back a little bit, you can also use AI to help you find the right Boolean searches, filters to actually do that. Again, Loxo Source, we have AI. It looks at the job parameters and automatically recommends candidates that might be a good fit. So that saves you a little bit of time. But this is where it's so critical, that time to source and engage it can be such a big waste of time because ultimately the quality, that first feedback of did you source the right candidates, you notice it during the screening call as you're talking to them, as you're checking, do they have the things, the knowledge, do they really have what it takes for this particular job? This is when you start hearing that feedback. If you're on track, amazing, keep going. If not, you haven't spent a full day sourcing 300 people with the wrong search parameters, and you figured this out after a screening call that took place 5 days after you sourced them initially. And so you want to do it in smaller batches, engage, because by the time that you finish sourcing for that particular job for that day, you might already have 1 or 2 responses.
Mm-hmm. And it's so easy. Like when you look at it, it's just like, what's the job to be done? I need to find people and I need to reach out to them for this stage. It's like, why not use automation to make that happen cohesively? Again, do it in Loxo. Yes, it's super easy, but there are tools out there now where you can create those different integrations where it's like, okay, like source person from this database, sync it through this provider, put it into my email sending platform, send that out. So like we're not saying you can only do this in Loxo. Obviously it's better if you do, but it's not rocket science at the end of the day, and it's saving you duplicative work. So yeah, that's such a big one. And to me, this was one that when I came into this space, not being a recruiter, and I saw just like how people go about sourcing, where you use filters, you use Boolean, and you just get this list of 40 pages, 80 pages, 200 pages of candidates. And the best 25 candidates might be on page 87, 92, 104. It's like that. That's such a waste and not like a good utilization of tech, machine learning. So AI, like, yes, being able to prioritize that based on the exact things that you were saying before. It's like, what type of responsibilities this person is going to have. You can make assumptions based on the job title. You know what the company is, so you can match experience to, like, are they in a certain industry? Are they certain maturity, stage, size? Then you have the job description to round that all out. Like, why wouldn't you want to use technology that just takes all information into account and be like, oh, I know what you need. Instead of putting that on page 92, like, here you go, top page 1, next best person, number 2. It's so simple, and tech is starting to move towards that, but that's one where we always talk about, like, is AI going to replace recruiters? No, but how do you use tech to make yourself so much smarter and better at what you do? Like, these are the types of things where it's like, lean on tech all day for it, and then you do what you do best to engage with your campaigns and everything else. But this is just shortening that time. Like you said, like the time to source, this is such an easily solvable one with the right technology as part of your workflow.
1000%. And in this case, AI is super helpful for rookie recruiters, or if you're in a brand new space, it can leverage that knowledge that AI has to help you identify the right candidates. At the off kind of like situation where the job title that you get from your client isn't like the industry standard for those particular job responsibilities, this is where, if you don't know this and it sounds right, then you can easily waste time sourcing incorrect people based on incorrect information that you just didn't know. And the best way to find this out is when you get on that call with a candidate and you start screening them for the must-have and nice-to-have skills, and really dig into their experience, because somebody can say, I have experience with SQL. Okay, well, hold on there a second. That's great. That's a very overarching term. What exactly did you do with it? Is this in alignment with what this client, this hiring manager needs? And this is where you kind of like start figuring it out. And as you're talking to them, it's also a little bit of like market research on how are candidates actually presenting themselves, the correct candidates. How are they presenting themselves on LinkedIn? So it's almost like reverse marketing, where marketing is like, how can we show ourselves to that target audience that we're really targeting? You're reversing it. How is your target audience presenting itself so that you can identify them through the right searches? And this is where AI is a huge one, but also don't waste too much time sourcing and reaching out. You want to reach out to an initial group to figure out, is this the right group that I am targeting? If not, through those conversations, you'll learn a little bit more about the technical aspects of these roles, and that can give you a little bit more insight and ideas into how else you can identify the right candidates.
Mm-hmm. Love it. All right. Next KPI, time to submission. So we're talking about sourcing and then just the initial kind of some automations there. But time to submission, how can we really speed that up to make sure that we are getting the right people contacted, engaged, chat with them? All right, let's get them over to the client. What can we do here?
So part of it is going to be, you want to get their attention. If you're not getting candidates' attention, then your time to submission is really dependent on how quickly can you actually get the right candidates interested and over to there. And this is where the time to submission actually largely depends on how good is your outreach? How good are you communicating this job? Are you not just like selling it like that traditional like sleazy car salesman, but more so of like, are you educating? And this is directly from Apple's playbook, no shame there. Are you educating customers? Apple is famous for wanting to educate customers on like their different products that they have. And I think because Steve Jobs said that their products are so amazing, they don't need to market and sell them in that traditional sense. They just need to educate customers about what it is that they have, and customers will naturally flock towards that. That's exactly what you want to do with your outreach. And so some of the key metrics to look out for is, are 30% of the people, at least bottom line, 30% or more, need to be opening your emails. If they're not opening your emails, if it's below 30%, your subject line sucks. We got to fix it, or it's going into spam, which is a different story, different podcast episode. It has to be 30%. And largely this depends on the subject line. And again, are you saying great opportunity, like perfect job for you, like, or are you getting a little bit creative with that? You want to get creative. So that's kind of like the first outreach metric that you want to look at. And then you also want to see, now that these people have opened that email, have they actually responded to you? You want to shoot for 50%, which people are going to be like, that is so high. Yes, but if you're targeting the right people, if you're giving them the right content that actually speaks to them with a very clear, all-encompassing call to action, there's no reason why 50% of the people that have opened your email are not engaging back with you. So that just tells you about the content and your call to action. Specifically with the content has to address one of the clamps, the 6 motivators of why somebody would want to switch jobs. If you're not hitting on solving a pain point, a problem for the candidate, why would they respond to you? So make sure that you're hitting the clamps, and it doesn't have to be like all 6 in that one email. And as a reminder, clamps are challenge, location, advancement opportunities, money, the people and overall culture, and job stability. So you have to hit those, because somebody that is open to a new opportunity, one of these 6 is going to be missing at their current opportunity, at their current job. And most likely it usually takes about like 2 to 3 of these 6 motivators to be not where the candidate wants them to be. So you want to hit on those in one way or another in your content, and very, very clear, all-encompassing call to action. The biggest mistake that I keep seeing with recruiters is they say, let me know if you're interested, or let's set up a quick chat to chat through this if you're interested. What if you're not interested in this particular one because you didn't present it the correct way? You still want to know, I am not interested for XYZ reasons. That gives you feedback. Is it like, well, hold on a second, that's actually this role? And then you can clarify your messaging. Or you can ask, hold on, well, what is it that you're looking for, so that you have that market feedback for the client, which is also super helpful.
Mm-hmm. Once, I want to call it a sneaky tactic, but it was an interesting one playing off of human psychology that I saw before in the CTA was, you seem like someone who would have a good network of people that might fit this role. Do you know of anyone who you could recommend to send my way? So it's this kind of indirect, like, I don't know. It's a weird dynamic that comes into play, but usually that person's like, yeah, me, hi, like recruiter knows that, or they actually do have a good network of people. So that's an interesting way of also opening it up. So to your point, it's not a binary, like only talk to me if you're interested, but even a third call to action, like, oh, I know this person who could do it, like beside the yes, no answer.
1000%. And it's a different approach. It's a pattern disruptor. And that is the number one thing that recruiters have to do to stand out in the noise, because every recruiter is using InMails and LinkedIn Recruiter. Every recruiter is also trying to get a hold of candidates via email. So are everything else. It can be a newsletter from your local grocery store. It can be stuff that you didn't even realize you signed up for. Everything is so cluttered. You have to stand out. You have to disrupt a pattern one way or another. And I know I keep saying this, but use dad jokes. Like, if people are not responding to you, like, people will respond to you if you give them something to respond to. And sometimes it's as simple as, You drop a little favor into the favor bank by dropping a really bad dad joke that they chuckle. It brightens their day a little bit because it's so ridiculous. And that way they can actually turn things around and, and respond to you and say, I'm interested, not interested, or whatever else.
All right. So time to submission. How do you leverage automation better? And how do you ultimately take pattern disruption? What can you do with the subject line? What can you do with the CTA? What can you do with the text that you're sending them? What channels can you use to reach out to them? But it's not just a box checking activity anymore where send 100 messages out, put 100 people in a campaign, you're going to get X response. Like, it's getting harder and harder as each day goes by. So, okay, pattern disruption. I like it. All right, final KPI, submission to hire conversion rate. So tell me your thoughts on this one.
This one is, you want to kind of like see where are your strong suits? Where are you really, like, what's your approach? Because every recruiter is going to be different. There's some recruiters that really thrive and are really good at just cold calling. They just compile a list of people. They don't need to auto enroll into outreach. They just start calling and they engage them right away. You have to find your strong suit. And depending on what your strong suit is, that can be you identify candidates that are somewhat okay, but then you actually get the referrals, and that's how you find people. Whatever your superpower is, you want to really lean into that because that's going to help you make sure that you're submitting the right candidates that then get hired. And that's kind of like the thing that you want to lean on to make sure that from the time they get submitted to the time that they get hired, you manage the client well, but also you don't give them a reason to like delay things and all that kind of stuff. You're just submitting really good candidates one after another. You're showing them this is what the market is. You're educating them. Candidates are not interested for XYZ reasons. That's going to help make the candidates that you do submit, it's going to demonstrate to the hiring managers, this is the right one, which is why I should go with this one. Because hiring managers, they will like delay things because they think the grass is greener, there's something better out there. But if you're consistently telling them these candidates are not interested because the people that are not interested are telling you why they're not interested, because you have a great call to action, they will have a better picture of the landscape. Because as a recruiter, part of your job is to explain and demonstrate to hiring managers what is the landscape out there. If they don't know, because you're sending them the perfect candidates one after another, you've sent them 3, they think, my God, this recruiter knows exactly where to find all of these unicorns, you know, they're like on Unicorn Street or something like that. And you keep on sending them, they don't know the hundreds of people that you sourced, reached out to, that yes, are a great fit, but these are their requirements. They're very happy. You cannot pull them away. They really love their job for XYZ reason. And like, if you present them a holistic view of the whole market, they will understand, yes, these are great candidates and I really do need to act on them because there isn't an abundance of them. I just have a really great recruiter that is able to identify these amazing candidates, engage them, and send them my way. So let's get a move on this and get them hired.
I like that. And I like, it's like, yeah, focus on what is your strength, your superpower with that. Because that, yes, it sounds incredibly vague, but this is the conversion rate player because it's looking at the broader scheme of things. So like you said, it's like, do you play the more game? Are you just an absolute animal and you can go through thousands of profiles and you're willing to play the volume game to figure out, okay, how many people can I get into the funnel? Let's get them through. Or do you have a great eye for specific talent? Like, can you just spot things, pattern recognition, whatever that may be? Are you creative? Can you write killer email campaigns? Can you come up with the original dad jokes that then go on to become, you know, famously told by all of the dads out there? And then the focus. I think that's another one where, like, relationships, when you really do focus in on a niche, you build out your CRM, you get a job, you stay in this space. You know, if you're placing, call it physician assistants, and you just over the past 5-10 years have been focusing on building a CRM of different physician assistants located across whatever geographical region you're in, it makes it a lot easier for you to do that. And that's an angle to go against the volume if you are a good people person. So that's where it's hard to say like one thing, but when you can figure out what that thing is for you, that's how you can improve this entire conversion rate.
1000%. Go all in on your superpower.
Viv, you're teaching me how to be a recruiter. I might have to do that. I'm going to tell Matt, sorry, switching over to being a recruiter full time. Meanwhile, recruiters
I have a
listening to
really
this,
great
please.
tool for you. It's called Loxo. It will make you such a great recruiter.
I'll give it a shot. I'll see. I'll think about it. I need a case study first.
I got you.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, any parting thoughts before we wrap this one up?
One last one, and it's LinkedIn InMails. We touched on this a little bit, and it's every recruiter out there is using LinkedIn InMails, and every business development person that is B2B is living on LinkedIn. So when you look at the LinkedIn usage metrics, the people that are actually on LinkedIn on a day-to-day basis, they are recruiters and salespeople. So the people and job seekers, and this is nothing against job seekers, but as a recruiter, as an agency recruiter, if you are an outsourced recruiter that is tasked with finding the perfect candidate after they weren't able to do it internally, when you are reaching out to LinkedIn Recruiter, you get a really good response rate of people that are actively on LinkedIn. Why are people typically active on LinkedIn? Because they're interested in looking for something new. So this is a little bit of low-hanging fruit, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, it's the first batch of candidates that you engage with, but you still have to go after that more hard to find that are just content with their job. It's not bad enough to spur them into action and log back into LinkedIn and update their profile, but it's also not good enough where they're really excited and thriving. So you have to go after them a little bit more. You have to pursue them a little bit more. You have to go beyond LinkedIn. The people that are like great candidates, they're getting spammed with LinkedIn messages from recruiters. You have to stand out differently. You have to give them a reason to engage back with you. That's most likely going to also include you engaging with them outside of LinkedIn. They might respond to you on LinkedIn, but it's because you're staying on top of all of the different channels that they check. So LinkedIn is great for like a first start so that you know, am I even sourcing the right candidates? Because this is a great way to kind of get that first batch and screen that initial batch of candidates to see, am I even on the right track? Have I targeted the right ones? If so, perfect. Just keep going. But you still want to keep going after them. So yeah, little controversial take, but some food for thought.
I like it. Well, times change. We need to with it. Well, Vivien, truly appreciate you taking the time as always to go through this. I know this is why I like getting tactical, because it's focus on these. How? What do I do? Make me better. This is the stuff that gets me excited and hopefully help some other recruiters keep improving. It's not always easy out there right now, so anything we can do to get better. So thank you as always for coming. All right, well, as we wrap, Becoming a Hiring Machine is a production of Loxo. If you like this episode but you're not sure where to go next, we have a link to a similar one, and you can find that in the show notes in the description of your favorite podcast streaming platform, as well as on our website. Full video episodes are available on YouTube. If you have questions, send them our way, podcast@loxo.co. And lastly, if you love this episode, please make sure you leave us a quick rating in your podcast streaming platform. It only takes you 3 seconds, but it's going to help other recruiters like you to find us. So, all right, everyone, that's the show. It's another great Tactical Tuesday with Vivien. Until next time, bye, y'all.